Have you been playing your minor scales on the piano recently? Have you maybe been practicing for a music exam and always wondered, why is it called harmonic minor, melodic minor? What's a natural minor? Why do we have these three flavours of minor scales? My name's Tom. Welcome to my YouTube channel Keyboard Skills Pro. Please do hit the subscribe button, and if you'd like to explore with me now why we have three types of minor scales, come over the keys and let's explore the world of minor scales. Here we go. Now, of course, minor scales, we tend to practice these on the piano, our instrument. And of course, if you've done a music exam, maybe piano grade 1 or grade 2, you will have come across not only minor scales, but also different types. So I'm going to go through the three types of minor scales in this video and also why we have them, what they're used for. So first of all, let's begin with one that a lot of folks never learn, and I think it's the most important. It's called the natural minor. So let's start off with our good old friend C major. Now C major has the following notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Yes, I know there's a C on the end, but that's the start of the next octave. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Now, if we take those 7 notes, or 8 notes if we include the last one, and all we simply do, instead of starting on C, we start on the 6th note, the A. And in this case, let's go down. It's 3 semitones down, 1, 2, 3. And this is the starting note for the natural minor. Now, why is it called the natural minor? Well, it's because it uses the same letters, the same pitches as the C scale. So we have a C on the first note of the major scale, but the C, look, is now the 3rd note of the minor. The D is the 4th, it was the 2nd before, and so on. So if I start on A and I play up to A and back on the white notes, I have the natural minor. Isn't that fantastic? I can now compose a piece of music, but instead of using the major chords as the main chords, I use the minor chords from the key of C. So I've got A minor, D minor, and E minor. Let me play you something now using A natural minor. Now, that sounded a bit like Greensleeves, but it sounded very medieval, Henry VIII, King Arthur, whatever you want to call it. And that's because when we use the natural minor, it produces that very old world kind of sound. But of course, composers were going, well, hey, when we play in C major, we have this wonderful ending, really nice. But when we do that in minor, it sounds suddenly very old-fashioned. So they decided to use a different note in the scale, change one of the notes in fact, to produce a better sound from the harmony. And this is where we get the harmonic minor. Now this one you might recognise, as I said earlier, if you've been perhaps playing and practicing for a music exam, they make you learn something called a harmonic minor. And what they discovered was in a minor scale, if you have the finishing chord sequence, which is a perfect cadence, as we call it, you would normally go, in this case, from the 5th to the 1st. We all know that, don't we? 5, 1. Sounds great in a major key, look. But in a minor key, it suddenly sounds very old-fashioned. So they thought, well, hey, if we put a major chord on the 5th, E major, look, and then go to A minor, that sounds a bit more like it. That sounds a lot better, a lot stronger. So what are we doing there? Well, we're making the 5th chord major. So we have to include a G sharp. If we then go through the minor scale but change it to the harmonic variant, we raise the 7th note of the scale a semitone up. This means in A minor, the G becomes a G sharp. And in fact, some people say, oh, that sounds a little bit Arabian in sound there, perhaps. So The whole reason that the harmonic minor scale was devised, and in fact is used, is to make the chords, the harmonies, sound better. Let me now play a little bit of Greensleeves. Here it comes. And there's that G sharp. Did you notice though, when I was playing the melody, I actually didn't use the G sharp all the time? We'll talk about that in a moment. So when you play songs and write songs in a minor key, there is often a major chord before the final minor chord, and that's due to this raised seventh making the dominant chord major. That's why they had to devise the harmonic minor scale. When you then change that chord, you put in the major dominant chord, the problem then is it can mess up the melody. Have a listen to Greensleeves again, look. Oh dear. That F doesn't sound right now, does it? Because we've got this funny gap now. We've got this G sharp. It was all going so well, they said. Lovely. Da, 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 da. Oh dear, that's not working very well. Oh no, we've improved our harmony, but now we've messed up the melody. So they thought, hey, maybe there's something we could do to help the melody line out as and when these little harmonic issues occur. And this is why they then came up with the third variation, the melodic minor. Melodic minors are used to help the melody sound correct. So I hope this is making some sense why they're called natural, harmonic and melodic. So what do we do in a melodic minor? Well, those of you who have learnt melodic minors might remember this pattern. Raise the 6th and the 7th going up and put them back when they're coming down. Do you know, I blindly learnt that when I was a student. I had no idea why it did that until I studied music theory in my later years. And then it dawned upon me, aha, why does it change up and down? Well, a scale is just a training pattern. We don't actually play it like that in reality in a piece of music. But what in fact happens is the 6th note, in this case the F, and the G are both raised a semitone higher. So we get an F and a G sharp in A minor. But sometimes we have to put them back to where they naturally sit. And so when you come down, you've probably just noticed you're playing the natural minor in that melodic scale. So what happens is when you actually play a minor song, you're in fact often using all three types of minor scale. Natural, harmonic to help the chords, and melodic to help the melody. Let's now play an excerpt of Greensleeves, but using the E minor scale. Now E minor, 3 semitones up from E, 1, 2, 3, we get to G major, G major. Very nice, colourful key, famous for its F sharp. Down 3 semitones from G, we find that E minor is the relation of G major. So here's the natural minor. Just play the G scale starting on E. There we go, natural E minor, just need F sharp. Let's play Greensleeves. Now you're probably thinking, doesn't that go da 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 da? There's a little lift there. And so this is where the melodic minor now comes in, because if we go up the E minor scale, look, 5, 6 is C, 7 is D. So if I raise those, look, there's my melodic minor. So I could use that raised 6 as and when I want to. Aha! Now we go back to the natural minor, look. Oh dear, that doesn't work, does it? Natural minor chord there. Raise it up to a major, and then look, the D sharp, look, is the 7th from our harmonic minor. Back to natural minor. Melodic. Natural, harmonic and melodic. Look at that, look. Doesn't work, does it? There you go. That's why we learn those scales. So I always say to people, when you're learning your scales, start by learning the natural minor, because it's so easy. If we play C minor, look, it's the same notes as E flat major. In fact, you can even change, look, as you're playing between one to the other. Just do a little tuck and up and down and down and down and minor, major, major, da 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 da. I know my E flat major scale, I will automatically know my C minor natural. Then all we have to do is learn the raised 7th and the raised 6th, and we put them back. But that's why we do that, because we learn now that the natural minor provides us with our basic sound for sad songs, but it contains the same notes as its cousin related major. You then have a harmonic minor, which helps create better cadences, better endings. And then you need a melodic minor to sometimes adjust the melody line. So I hope that's made sense. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, folks. And of course, if you're writing your own music, you now have a better understanding of why we use 3 types of minor scales. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit subscribe, and we'll see you soon here on Keyboard Skills Pro for another fun music lesson. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.